Welcome back. It's the AM show. It's our second big story for you. And like you can see in the background, we're talking about Galamsey. Now, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey has been making a demand on all presidential candidates contesting in the 2024 election to sign a national pledge against illegal and irresponsible mining. Now, this pledge, they say, should commit them to ending Galamsey and restoring Ghana's water bodies, forest reserves, and environmental heritage for posterity. We'll be hearing from the coalition as well as other stakeholders. But joining us for a conversation, so would you like to take us through that, sweetie?
Yes, we have Awula Serwaa. She's coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens, joining us this morning. Thank you for joining the conversation, Awula Serwaa. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. It's good to know that the fight against illegal mining is still on. We've seen a statement we've seen a statement from you, but let's hear you briefly on what the intention behind this statement is.
Well, the intention is that we all know that we are facing an existential threat. Joy has done a fantastic job, but unfortunately, we are still where we are. Our politicians are telling us that you are being poisoned. Don't worry, keep on being poisoned. When we finish with the elections, we'll see what we can do. And we are saying that this is totally unacceptable. We are saying that whoever comes to power, somebody is going to win the elections. So whoever comes should commit to going straight to the forest reserves and removing all equipment, all persons mining in our forest reserves and water bodies. We are saying that they should pause all small-scale mining because, you know, even with the big ones, the big mining companies, we have just about 15 or so. We can't even monitor them. How much more the thousands and thousands of community mining, small-scale mining, whatever you want to call it, is just not working. And I believe that Alan Tremantin, in his 10-point plan, has talked about banning small-scale mining for a short period. Then we are also saying that we must revoke the perverse LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves and also in globally significant biodiversity areas.
Right.
This is a very irresponsible piece of legislation.
Let's stay on the state of emergency line for a bit.
I'm sorry. We are saying that they should also adopt the polluter pays principle, which means that those who are being who are found guilty of polluting our water bodies or our environment, who are being prosecuted, then their assets should be sold and used towards reclamation, because reclamation is a very, very expensive business.
Okay. So at this time, at this point in the fight against illegal mining, with just 2 or 3 days to go to the polls, do you think that a state of emergency is in line? Looking at the time.
Well, we could do it. I mean, the time is very short, obviously, but I mean, at the time the statement was made, it was very, very possible. Because what does the Constitution say? It says in consultation. You can consult in 10 minutes. It didn't say in agreement, it said in consultation.
Right.
It's just that the political will wasn't there. So right now we are saying that whoever wins the elections immediately declare a state of emergency, go to the forest reserves and the water bodies and remove all persons and equipment. Those who have been granted licenses to mine in our forest reserves, the licenses should be revoked and no further licenses should be issued.
Okay.
And this should be done within the first, I would say the next day in office, but we have to be realistic. So within the first 20 days of office, because we are being poisoned. And it's so wicked of our politicians to say, you're being poisoned, that's okay. Let's finish with the elections. If you've died, that's okay. We might buy a coffin for you. I mean, how wicked can we be?
Right. Ben will come to you in a bit, but I mean, it's still just 3 days to go to the elections. Would you say you're making steady progress in actually getting the politicians to sign this?
Well, we don't know, but we need to keep on getting them to realize that you come to political office to serve the people, not to lord it over them or to enrich yourself. At the end of the day, it's up to the people. The people, if they are happy to be poisoned, fair enough. But if they are angry enough, in fact, today we'll be showing Poison for Gold again at Christ Apostolic Church this evening, 7 p.m. Because when we showed the first one at the KB Asante Memorial Park, there was a stunned silence afterwards. And lots of people said to me privately that they were not aware of the extent. They'd heard people talk about it, but they didn't realize the extent of the existential threat we face. And maybe that's why we have not been angry enough. But once Ghanaians realize the state of the existential threat, I'm sure that if whoever comes into office fails to do what we've asked, then they'll have to hit the streets, or maybe organized labor will wake up and declare a strike, a national strike.
Right. Benjamin, this is what we have. But I'm just wondering if the cardinal value of signing this pact wouldn't have been more effective if we say that if you don't sign, then we won't vote for you. Coming to this point now with just 3 days to go, I struggle to see how we can get these presidential aspirants to actually commit to this. By your take now.
Which brings me, it segues right into my question. Awula Serwaa, is this not coming too little too late?
Well, I would say that it should have come much, much earlier. I mean, nobody can deny that it should have come much earlier, but we are where we are. The fact of the matter is that we're badly let down by organized labor, badly let down. We believed what they said, that there was going to be a general strike, and that would have forced the government, to do the needful. I mean, even if class 2 child, we know that what's going on is unacceptable. It should have been stopped so many years ago. But we are where we are. So the cardinal thing will be that whoever comes into office, whether they sign the pledge or not, if within a certain number of days they haven't repealed perverse LI 2462, they haven't declared a state of emergency, then we should all hit the streets. Right now, sensible people will not vote for anybody who is killing them. I can't tell anybody who to vote for. I believe every voter should be responsible enough to know who to vote for. I'll just say that no sensible person votes for somebody who is either supervising your death or actually the one who is administering the poison. So a word to the wise is in the north, as they say.
But the coalition against Galamsey, I mean, even after the organized labor failed to go ahead, and it was only UTAG, from what I recall, that went ahead with it until a certain point, there was still time. There was still a month or two, at least, before elections to have done something. Would you say that you as well in the coalition, we have all been in this together, but would you say that maybe you dragged your feet until you realized that, well, we may get to the point where we have a new leader, but the situation, the status quo, remains?
Well, that is true. I mean, there are no excuses to be made. We should have acted yesterday. We didn't. And as I said, we're badly let down. So I think the recovery was still taking place. Nobody could believe that organized labor could give the assurances it gave. There were meetings, and then all of a sudden, upon some assurances that did not stand scrutiny, decide not to go ahead. But yes, we could still have done something, which we didn't. But all Ghanaians could also have done something. And as you rightly said, we are all in it together. And we haven't done the best we could have done. That is admitted. But we are where we are, and we need to act now. It's only a few days. The elections are on Saturday. They may or they may not sign. But whatever happens, we need to make it quite clear that if you don't stop poisoning us after all the excellent work that has been done by journalists, risking their lives, yourself, others have risked their lives. Erastus has been beaten up. I don't know what has been done, and not just him and his team. There are also people, they've been beaten up. Nobody knows what has been done to the perpetrators. Yes, we've acted a little, we haven't acted as quickly as we should, but we are acting now. And whoever comes to power, come the elections over, is on notice. If you're not going to stop the poisoning, we will either hit the streets or there'll be a general strike. We're not going to sit there and say, continue poisoning us whilst you dilly-dally about what to do. We're tired of being poisoned. Those who are dead are already dead. And let me say it again. People think they are safe. We are not safe. The food you are consuming, do you know where it's coming from? Do you know if there's any arsenic or mercury in the tubers or plantains you are consuming? Then poison has entered the food chain. And let me be absolutely clear, even the water we are drinking, it's not only when it's brown that we should be afraid, even when it's transparent.
Yes.
These metals are colorless. So we do not know if they are in our water. And Ghana Water Company is not pretending that they remove these toxins from the water.
And indeed, that is the case, because we don't use reverse osmosis. And even it may not be financially, looking at the states, feasible for us to do that. It's just that you mentioned Erastus. I feel it's a blot on our conscience, right? Because barring what initially was said, sweetie, what was said about, and the police and this and that, what else do we know about that situation? It's almost reminiscent of what happened to Ahmed Hussein Swale. These things happen in this country, and
there's no
over time...
There's no follow-up.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's no responsibility for what is done.
So maybe we need to have a situation where we follow up and then we give conditions. You can't just beat up people, say that you're members of the ruling party, and then there's no urgency in doing anything. I don't know if I've mentioned here the case about the Atronsu activists. They had the pure, pristine Atronsu stream. It was being poisoned. The case was reported so many times. I myself made contact with the regional commander and the police commander. Nothing was being done. The illegal miners poisoned the stream. They were arrested once, swiftly given police bail, and promptly continued to poison the stream. Then on Farmers' Day, apparently 2 excavators which were being used to poison the community, 2 excavators were apparently burnt, and the police decided that it had to be the activists, and promptly they were arrested. I called the police commander to ask for police bail. He told me that, oh, we're only investigating. He was on his way to the Farmers' Day event. That day, they were quickly sent to court. The court refused bail, and they were remanded in custody. So this is the kind of situation we have in Ghana. The people poisoning us, killing us, can do what they like. And then when it comes to the perpetrators, either those who beat up journalists or threaten them, or those who actually poison a stream, the only source of water, they can carry on because it's believed that they are well connected.
Awula, please hold for us. We'll circle back to you. We also have Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. He's convener Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, and they also put out a statement asking presidential candidates to sign. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation. Inferring from what Awula Serwaa says, it appears we would have made some significant progress in the fight against illegal mining if organized labor had gone through with their threats of a national shutdown. In your statement, you're saying that organized labor is also on board. How confident are you that when the time arises for organized labor to put their foot down, this time they'll do that?
So I think the point has to be made that there are some labor unions that form part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. And when we start by building part, well, organized, but we are watching.
Oh, Doc, I do want to get the crux of what you're saying, but the line is, maybe you can speak up so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, this is better. Let's go.
Okay. So I'm saying that organized labor has been, let me put it, maybe not necessarily organized labor, various elements of the labor union have been part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. As an organized labor, so it went bring together various that they are not. But we organized labor says we're watching and we're monitoring what government do. So our expectation now that organized labor should have looked at the enhanced measures that government said. The extension to Operation Hall. Is there anything happening? The parliamentarians, when they, instead of dealing with strapping the LI things for people, they decided to fight about visiting on which check. The issues about specialized and all of that. So there are things that have not been done. So our expectation as the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey is the fact that the organized labor would hold government accountable. But we are not going to allow ourselves to be derailed by 18 individuals. We believe this is an existential threat. This is about us dying. As Awula has said, our streams are being poisoned, our environment is being destroyed. So we need to fight it. And one of the things that the Ghana Coalition had put out, which, organized labor itself also had as one of the things, is the signing of the pact. And so, because we also realize that the elections are just here and the political parties themselves are very busy out in the field, we then had to send the pact to all the political parties and ask them to sign and then return it back to us. And then on Thursday morning, we would have a press conference at the International Press Center, whereas we and various other the Ghana Coalition, UTAG is part of us in this particular venture, and then other identifiable bodies who also associate themselves with this particular fight. We would witness it, and then we would mention to all of Ghana that these are the political parties that have you at heart, that have signed the pact to be able to fight this. But anybody else who decides not to sign it after it's been given to them, then you can take your decision on who these people are. So, yes, any labor union that can join it, and some of them are part of us, I say UTAG is part of us, the general, that some other labor unions can come and join us. The media coalition is part, various bodies, we are all part of the Ghana coalition against Galamsey. And we will do the needful so far as our country is concerned, so far as our very existence is also concerned.
Well, please hold for Ben.
What is the end?
Well, you see, unfortunately for everybody, we cannot be but hopeful. Because if we decide, we resign ourselves to hopelessness, it means we want to be killed. Because the situation that we find ourselves in is very bad. What is being perpetuated against us is ecocide, is genocide, and we need to protect and fight for Ghana. So we need all of us as citizens to be citizens and not spectators.
Right.
And not say that because we are being killed, we are going to resign ourselves and die. We definitely need to fight back. If you have, it's not even the interest of your children or your children's children. It's even about today, before we even start looking at tomorrow. And this fight, we need to stop the rot, but there are also opportunities for doing the right thing. All those conversations that we've had at COP and all the monies that are going to be available. If we continue cutting the trees and all of that, how are we going to benefit from the green economy that is coming? So we cannot but be hopeful, and that's why we are happy that one of the particular realms of the state, the media, has fought this thing and continues to fight it. And we need to fight it beyond Saturday and make sure that whoever becomes president, whether it is His Excellency, the Vice President, or His Excellency, the former President, or the other political party, they immediately on the 7th of January would have the temerity to take the actions that are required to be able to save us from these nation records and these ecological suicide bombers that are perpetuating these things against them.
All right.
Doc, Benjamin here, you talk about how dire the situation is getting. Well, the situation has been dire for a pretty long time. We are all fully aware of that. You've spoken about a number of things, but essentially, with this statement, what is the end game for you? What does it boil down to?
So, well, the end game is two. We would want the presidential candidates to sign a social contract with us that we can hold them accountable to on from the 7th of January.
And if they do not?
If they do not, what we will do on Thursday when we hold the press conference is be able to tell those who have decided that they are not going to sign and those who have signed. We know already some of them have signed and returned it to us. So if the rest decide that they are not going to sign it, what is going to happen is that we will point them out. But then the decision that has to be taken is the decision of the sovereign people of Ghana. We have to take the decision and say, these people decided that they won't sign the pact with us. And these people decided that they don't take Ghanaians seriously, are very survival, they don't take it seriously. They then deserve to be leaders of this country. So that is the end game, the social contract that we need to sign with these political parties, and who is going to be eventually the president. And then to be able to show those who decide that the Ghanaians don't matter, and let the electorates know that that's actually what the situation is. And then you leave that decision to all of us as Ghanaians to take.
Okay, two quick things on the back of what you said. One, I'm sure some of the parties, in fact, the major political parties will tell you that in their manifestos, they have plans in terms of dealing with the scourge of Galamsey. I don't know what your take would be if they pointed you to that. And secondly, you say some have signed, put pen to paper already. Which ones have signed and which ones have not signed? So two things. What would be your reaction if they directed you to just check out their manifestos and say, I don't need to sign this because my manifesto already captures what I'm going to do? And the second bit, which ones have signed and which ones have not?
Then let me answer your second question first. We would hold on Thursday, we would announce those who have signed and those who have not signed. But in terms of the manifestos, especially the two political parties, look into that. They all promise things that they would want to do, but they don't confront, the devil, actually in this whole thing. The issue of stopping the carnage. So if some of them are going to set up gold bonds, some of them are going to do the geological surveys and so where everything is, that is fine. But if you are, that's the one that you can't live on. What you have to do, you need to leave. So you need to stop the war. You need to stop the fact that the water currently, in August, Ghana Water was telling you that the stability of the water was 14,000 NT. When it ought to be 5 NT, you need to stop the fact that your forests are being eaten up as we speak. You need to stop the fact that currently as we speak, renal diseases are on the. So you need to stop all of those things. And go and look at the manifestos of the two of them. None of them are confronting that particular thing. Is it surprising that you will find out that an MPP parliamentary candidate who's the doctor saying that they will stop the illegal and irresponsible mining when they come? Is it surprising that Mustafa Gbandi, an MPP, one of their leaders, also goes to stand somewhere and say when they come, they will let people continue it? Are you surprised about that? If they claim that is what is in their manifesto. So we need to deal with the issues that all of us, the whole of Ghana, the media coalition, various over 50 entities came up with and said this. We need to stop the illegality and the irresponsibility. That is not in the manifestos of the two of them. So that cannot be an excuse for saying I am not going to sign because I have that in my manifesto. And we have made it very, very easy for them.
Okay.
Ideally, would have said that we wanted to bring all of them together at a particular event to get them all to sign it. But currently, you agree, they are at different parts planning their own campaigns and all of that. We don't want to disturb that. And so we have sent the documents to them. They are just supposed to sign it and send it back to us. And we would then tell Ghanaians who have signed and who have not signed. So
all right.
Anything in your manifesto definitely does not deal with what we are asking for.
Well, Doc, they do say the pen is mightier than the sword. So for me as an individual, I like that we're trying this way. But how confident are you, seeing all the initiatives, all the demonstrations, all the talk, journalists, nearly losing their lives because of this fight against illegal mining? How confident are you that this particular step holds the key to our quest to end this menace?
So what it is that I am confident that if the Ghanaians decide that the right thing ought to be done, and we all put our shoulder to the wheel and push it, it's going to happen. The signing of the pact is not just a single silver bullet. It is the beginning of things that we need to do. It is that social contract that was signed with our leaders to ensure that the right thing is done. Unfortunately for us, in this fight against Galamsey, the reason why it's different, and it's one of something that I wrote, I wrote something is that the firefighters are that the fact that, we have Galamsey money, something most of the political parties, especially the one. So we bring them into this, and especially the professional associations and organizations. We need to hold those resources that, and it will start the day finding the particular which we can then talk to them tomorrow when the election stage said that that is what happened.
Thank you so much. Let me just ask my final bit to Awula Serwaa. What happens next? There's a big possibility that this would not deter the perpetrators, those who still want to poison us. Awula Serwaa, what happens next if this doesn't?
Well, you see, as has been very eloquently said by my brother, the environmental terrorism could not have gone on if the firefighters were not themselves the arsonists. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that media against Galamsey made a complaint against Akonta mining. We are still looking at it, but look at the alacrity with which the Atronsu activists were sent to court. So we see that the firefighters are the arsonists. What happens next? The only thing that will make a difference is if Ghanaians are angry enough. And I keep on saying it, Ghanaians are not angry enough. Whether it's because they think they're not being directly affected, whether because I don't know, but we're not angry enough. If I came to your house and I started beating you up, are you just going to say that, okay, you're going to wait for somebody to come from somewhere to do something? You're going to do something about it. So what's going on is that Ghanaians are not angry enough. So we are hoping that by continuing to screen the poison for gold, because many people haven't watched it. When we screened it last Saturday, they hadn't watched it. We're screening it today again at La Christ Apostolic Church to try and get people angry enough to take the right decision. So even after the elections, that's not the end of the day. Whoever comes to power, if they don't do the right thing, and for starters, you need to repeal LI 2462. For starters, you need to get everybody away from the forest reserves and the water bodies. For starters, you need to ban small-scale mining, community mining, whatever name you put on it. It is causing a lot of the problem. You need to ban it. The only person who has been bold enough to say so, as far as I can see, is Alan Tremonte. The rest are just putting plaster. They are not getting to the root of the problem. You say you're going to do geological surveys. Okay, you do it and you find out that the gold is in the water body. Then what next? It doesn't make any sense to me. We know what the gold is. The point is to enforce the laws to make sure that we don't go where we shouldn't go. At the end of the day, if the electorate is not prepared to hit the streets or organized labor call a national strike, we can talk all we want to talk. They don't sign it, or they sign it and they don't abide by it, then what? So I'm calling out to Ghanaians, if you're happy to be poisoned, by all means, let's carry on being poisoned. But if you value your life, you value the environment God has given us, rather than build a cathedral, God has given us a beautiful environment. We have Atiwa Forest Reserve. You want to go and mine bauxite there. So unless the electorate is tired of being poisoned and decides that I'm not going to let you poison me, we can talk as much as we like. People can sign things. If they don't abide by it, then what?
In terms of repealing LI 2462, do you think if we didn't have this current parliamentary impasse, it would have been dealt with already?
No, if we wanted to deal with it, we could have dealt with it. If you notice, three NPC MPs brought a private members' bill to repeal LI 24 because, according to them, it hadn't been laid before Parliament. So I keep on saying that organized labor let us down big time. They were not serious about it. They could have repealed it if they wanted to. They were not serious about it. And I'm not quite sure anybody's serious right now. We want to go on business as usual. And you see, we're so short-sighted. How much are we getting out of gold? 5-point-something billion. Out of that, only about 1.5 billion is retained. We get far more from remittances. We get far more from cocoa. And very soon, our cocoa will be so full of mercury.
But that's what's accounted for the state. I mean, there are private individuals making much more than that. And,
of course, that's what I'm saying. The money is going to private pocket.
Yeah.
How does it benefit you and I? Look at the state of the river. Some can afford to do reverse osmosis in their homes so that the water they cook with, wash with is all better than the rest of the water. They only buy imported water. Whilst I'm sure they're buying imported food and maybe the restaurants they go to before they go there, they told them what to do. But the rest of us are being poisoned. And this is wickedness. Wickedness at the highest level for any government to allow ecocide, as has been already said, allow environmental terrorism to take place so that you can make money to do what?
Right.
God is not mocked. They'll all be held accountable. Okay.
And right before Ben comes in, Dr. Ashigbe, do you believe that the current parliamentary impasse has nothing to do with our delay in repealing LI 2462? Do we still have Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I was asking if you agree with Awula Serwaa that if we really wanted to repeal LI 2462, we would have done that already. The current parliamentary impasse has nothing to do with the delay.
You know, Awula is, she's learned. I am not learned. So once she says that, there's nothing for me to say again. But I completely agree in one step that if the NDC and the MPP thought that our very survival was very important and this repeal was important, they would have put aside these very pedestrian and very, childish fights that we're fighting about who's the where and put the national interest in.
Right.
This is the reason why acceptance is relevant. That when the leadership class, the political class, really not they start to finally allow the notion of, to pass Now you have an opportunity to come and kill it. You're not free. And out is that now that the Attorney General himself has said that they were going to repeal the.
Yeah.
They are not continuing to give grants and sign permits for people to continue into the forest there. And those are one of the things that we're going to use the RTI law to be able to say that who are the people who've been granted by the Minerals Commission and the EPA. And when was the last time that any of these permits were signed? And so if they really say that they really have this country at heart, the fact that they've not repealed it does not mean they couldn't have stopped the carnage that was being caused in our forest reserve.
Right. All right. Thank you, Ken. Ben.
Well, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining the conversation, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. He is convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. We also had Awula Serwaa, coordinator for the Eco-Conscious Citizens, joining the conversation. Do stick and stay. We'll be back with more action shortly.